that we thought we should do is really to look at our state-owned enterprises and bring them together for efficiencies and economies of scale, so that we are able to expand and even create more value using the collaborations between these entities. Of course, this board is very, very dynamic, and we are not only going to be focusing within the country. We are also going to be looking even internationally to see the collaborations and the engagements that can ensue, so that we enrich whatever value and benefit, but mainly for the benefit of our generations. Thank you.
To be full compliance with regards to all their requirements, transparency, full disclosures, etc. So we have already signed on to that, and I think the company secretaries will submit those documents in the coming days. But the government of Botswana, through the able leadership of His Excellency President Boko, has fully endorsed the key aspects of it, and we're even going to go beyond that. And on your question with the Pula Fund, PSP may chip in, but like I said, the Deputy Governor of the Bank of Botswana is actually one of the board members. Unfortunately, today they are hosting a regional meeting of central bankers here in Havard, and he's unable to attend this press conference. But the background of the Pula Fund is it's a liquidity stabilization fund. It is a fund that takes cash and keeps it for rainy day. This sovereign wealth fund is not only about stabilization, it's about growth, which means we are not only going to be managing cash, which is one aspect of it, but there's also management of assets, some of the state-owned entities, like what the PSP mentioned. So it's a combination of both, and the legal framework around the Pula Fund, like I said, we're developing strategies, we're developing modalities, and we're going to work very closely with the central bank to ensure that there is oversight and visibility on not only the Pula Fund itself, but other state-owned assets belonging to the government of Botswana for growth, while ensuring stability is maintained and sustained. But PSP maybe from the government.
Thank you very much. These are really early days, but we thought through the whole process of differentiation. But if you look at the Botswana Sovereign Wealth Fund, the one that we are currently on, is going to be a little bit different at being, maybe just as an example, say we are going to reinvest value. Currently what we see with the Pula Fund is that we can access the Pula Fund willy-nilly, and that's why when we have liquidity issues is because we have gone far and depleted some of this fund. So with the Botswana Sovereign Fund, we are basically going to build for future generations. Like the chair is saying, we are not just going to be looking at stabilizing the economy, but we are also going to be building for the future, making sure that even as we probably will be drawing down from it, it's not going to be drawing down from the capital investment, but rather from the returns that would have been generated through the investment that we would have made. So this is just going to be the difference, because we are not going to be fully blowing for our future generation. Remember that currently, as we continue to borrow as a country, we are creating this debt for our grandkids. And what do they have? Supposing in 20 years, 25 years from now, they are indebted, they are still indebted with this. How are they going to repay that? Because we are a natural resource-based country. So we want to move away from this phenomenon and say we should be able to finance this debt even beyond the depletion of the diamonds, for instance, and many other natural endowments that we have. So this is what we are looking forward to. This is not strange to Botswana. Yes. The phenomenon of creation of an independent sovereign wealth fund is not strange. We have countries that have done that before. Yes. And majority of countries that we have looked into and benchmarked, for instance, such as Singapore, they have the sovereign wealth fund. And these sovereign funds are very independent, very dynamic, such that they are able to compete out there in the rest of the world and create value for its citizens. So it's not a strength thing, and this is what we are trying to build as Botswana, so that we don't find ourselves in the future to be struggling. And we are also going to be creating industries to make sure that we invest such that we create jobs for Botswana. And this is something that is forward-looking, I would say. Thank you.
And each basket has its own unique impact on different nations and different sovereigns. So in the situation here as a mineral resource and mineral-rich nation, yes, oil crisis, but there's also the issues around the diamonds and how Botswana positions itself globally as the principal and primary supplier of quality natural diamonds to the world. Whenever you find a crisis, as you look at addressing that, which is the short-term issue, you also must look at the long-term view of how do I manage future crises, because it's not going to end. And the government is busy negotiating. From our understanding in the meeting with Mr. President and some of the briefings by the PSP, the government of Botswana is aggressively negotiating bilateral agreements with key nations to ensure that some of the impacts of the global crisis, be it tariffs, be it commodity prices, is at least shielded and hedged. Because that relationship, that bilateral relationship between government to government is something that is necessary to address it, especially if you rely on importation of some items while others rely on exports of some of your items as well. And so we've been briefed. I believe those are confidential government information, but I know that there are bilateral negotiations that are being conducted by the government of Botswana to mitigate the impact of external shocks to your own economy, while also managing the upsides for your own economy as you look at some of your exportable items.
I think as a country, let's be upfront and say, just like any other situation that serves you, maybe during your rainy days, may not serve you in the future. So I'm in agreement that there is need for us to transform. And looking at where we are currently, we believe that with the statutes that are there, it will be very, very, very difficult for us to say we transform the current Pulafat. Like I'm saying, it is going to take time for it to be really wholly transformed. So the best thing that we thought we should do is that we create some independence out of it. If you look at the current Pulafat, it's merely executive. It's being managed by the executive. And there is no opportunity for getting the skills that we have currently here. So that's why it's very, very important that the President talked about the fact that instead of benchmarking, now we looked for skills that can enhance what we are building. It's early days. Considerations will be made as we develop and see where are the synergies that can be drawn between the two. I'm not ruling out anything, but I'm just saying to start on a clean slate is always the best, and benchmark with the best of the best to create what we think can work. And if maybe later we find out that maybe we can just absorb what is in the Pulafat, we will gladly advise accordingly and make sure that there is that synergy. For now, we wanted to be so out there and very independent to create something that we know that will take us somewhere, just like it has been done in other countries. So I'm not ruling out anything, but I'm just saying these are early days. We are building, and as we build, there will be those synergies that we can piggyback and see whether we cannot close the chapter, as you said.
Thank you very much.
Just one. Thank you, Joe, for that salient question. I think what's important to emphasize is that the creation of the Botswana Sovereign Wealth Fund Limited has been undertaken completely and directly in terms of our existing goals of Botswana, and primarily the company. And therefore, the fund as an entity, which is wholly owned by government, is a structure and a construct which you will have seen already existing. In line with the requirements that this be a completely independent entity in terms of how it operates, locally owned by government. And to your earlier point about subscription to the Santiago Principles, if you go onto the CIPA website now, you will see the constitution that is there. You will see that it enshrines and encompasses the Santiago Principles. So the legal construct, I am pleased to advise, is within the confines of the laws of Botswana. And so therefore, to your point, a separate statutory process need not have been undertaken. This is not a creature of statute. This particular organization that has been formed, it's intended to be independent, it's intended to be dynamic, it's intended to follow, as the chairman says, the best principles that apply across the best performing sovereign wealth funds in the world. So we are hopeful as Botswana that with the guidance and leadership of the chairman and the board members, that this will be something that can be achieved in due course. I've answered your question, I believe, but I would just like to make the additional point that because this is an entity that is formed under the laws of Botswana, all the board members here are subject to Botswana law and subject to the provisions of the Companies Act in terms of fiduciary duties. So you also have a further layer of ring fencing, if you will, in terms of accountability. Because ultimately, I think that this is what we are all here to see and witness. The formation of a new entity which is clear and transparent, has been formed in accordance with the laws of our nation, and it will be accountable to the people of this nation through its board and through its shareholder, the government of Botswana. So I hope that answers your question.
As you are aware, this is the first time we do this. But in our neighboring countries, they have been having community stations. And it's good to have you here as our first batch. We are going to have more. But also I have to recognize that this journey just didn't start now. We started this journey in 2023. UB Radio. UB Radio is part of the non-commercial, just like yourselves. So you can we handle this? And they proved